consideration of others. Thank you very much for coming. Bathrooms are through the doors, double doors to your right, those double doors in the back. The forum will end at approximately 7:15 p.m. This will allow for your private questions to be asked to candidates, purchase merchandise, and help us clean up the space. Obviously, we weren't expecting to have 2 of the 3 candidates on Zoom this evening, so therefore it is going to be a little hard for you to reach out to them in person. Okay? We must be out of the building no later than 8 p.m. Therefore, if you would like to purchase merchandise or make a donation, please do so by 7:45. Thank you. And we're going to begin now with Jim Runstead.
Hello, everybody. I really wish I could be there to meet and greet you, but I guess this is going to be the second best. I know I have Bernadette there, who certainly you can all get to know how wonderful she is. And just a little bit of background on me. I was born on a farm in Genesee County. Learned a lot of work ethic there. I was sun up to sundown on 6 and 7 days a week. Went to college for a teaching degree, and there was no teaching job, so I went into financial services. Met my wife, Kathy. We've been married for 27 years. We have 5 kids. We were foster care parents, and we have 15 grandkids, all within 45 minutes of the house. So we have a very busy house with Kathy keeping track of all those grandkids. So when I was in financial services, I had my own company. I learned how to sit down with clients who sometimes invested $20, $30 billion with me to fund an annuity. They'd have to slide that check over for me to invest and have that trust, which has been very helpful in fundraising. I was one of the top fundraisers in office, not in Lansing, because so many of the votes, the money comes from voting the wrong way. So I wasn't going to do that, but I sat down with the people in my district who believed in me and wrote me sizable checks. When the state party said they want $15,000 from 6 different people, I raised that the very next money now almost 4 months ago. So that's been very helpful to me. In my time in office, I've been ranked among, if not the most conservative in virtually every ranking. There's like 8 different rankings of national groups that will rank state legislators. My entire time, in 10 years, I was at or near the top almost every single time. And that also has been helpful in getting some things done in the majority. I'm now in the minority. So for the last 2 years, in the minority, it's just so you understand, it's not like a 45-55 split. It's a 0 to 100. They control absolutely everything. Anybody who tells you that they're getting something in the minority, there's only one way to do that: collude with the Democrats. Start vote for their garbage, and they'll throw you some bones. I don't do that. All I've done for the last 2 years is attack their bills, and now even that's gone because we meet for an average of less than 8 times a month for a few hours for me to hit the no button. But I can't attack the Democrat bills anymore because now, thank God, we took over the House and they're all negotiated, and I'm not going to attack the Republican bills. So I will have more time than I have ever had in my entire life to this endeavor, which is what I really want to do, is take apart this state party and put it back together the way it should be done. There's a whole host of issues I'll talk about with this tonight. Another thing that has got to be done is unifying the party. I've been for 4 months, every part of the state of Michigan. I have crisscrossed it 7 days a week. I'm out, usually 1, 2, or 3 speaking engagements a day. So it's been a great experience of learning where everybody's at. And the thing that they're really crying out for is, let's stop the infighting. So much of this infighting is personality driven. This leader doesn't like that leader. They're fighting in the same county. So what I tell people is, we're going to focus on what the real issue is, and that's the evil Democrat policies. They're destroying the state of Michigan. They're destroying our kids. They're destroying the mental health of the kids. They're destroying our businesses. People are fleeing the state of Michigan. These evil Democrats want child pornography in the schools. Thank God we have President Trump stopping that on the federal level, we got to stop it here on the local level.
Okay,
Another
Jim.
thing that we really have, go
Yeah,
ahead.
we gotta move on. We do now have Joe Sella on the horn, so we're gonna let him do an introduction as well. And then Michonne Maddock is here, I believe. And then she'll do her introduction, and then we'll get going on the Q&As, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Joe Sella, would you like to introduce yourself to our group?
I don't think you have him.
His mic ain't on.
He's muted. He muted himself, I would suspect.
Yeah, he muted himself.
I'm here.
Oh, there you go.
Almost there. Sorry. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Joe. Would you like to introduce yourself to our group here? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Okay, 3 minutes, and I will use it to great effect. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you. Teresa, thank you for your leadership, and thank you all for your leadership. I am a native-born son of Michigan from Macomb County originally, city of Richmond. I am the eldest of 3 kids. I graduated from the Great Hillsdale College. I've been married to my beloved and beautiful wife, Kristen, for 20 years. We have 7 children, 4 boys and 3 girls. I first became involved in the grassroots as a precinct delegate in 1988 in Macomb County, and ran as a precinct delegate in the early 2000s, roughly, until just before I married my wife. So I have fought the fight on the level of the county conventions, state conventions, district conventions, and it has been great. An honor to do what I've done. My career has been 35 years in the private sector, nonprofit realm, and a little bit of time in the public sector, working in the state legislature, U.S. Senate, Capitol Hill, and also in the political arena, where I have fought, led, served, and won in highly visible, highly consequential, high-stakes battles. We stand at the cusp of a very unique time in our history, and your vote for who will serve as your next chairman is crucial. Probably one of the most crucial votes in our lifetimes for state chairman. 2026 comes after 24. We have a great fulcrum to utilize to help him continue advancing his American First, Michigan First agenda, ultimately to make America great again, and fight by him. People are relieved, people are full of joy, but people are steeled with resolve. This is the first time in many decades where we have a chance to reshape leadership in Michigan on the state level and the federal level. First time in our modern history that we have had a U.S. Senate seat and a governor's seat open ever, and high stakes. 3 congressional races are competitive at the state legislature, Michigan House, where Matt Hall now commands the majority speaker. We have a chance to win the state Senate. There is a crucial battle brewing if Governor Whitmer ever stops dragging her political feet to call the 35th Special District in Midland Bay City and South.
15 seconds.
Should I serve as chairman, we would have President Trump and or Vice President Vance in to help drive that, raise money, and make that a national election, a referendum, a mandate, a referendum on his mandate. I stand apart from my opponents in 3 ways. 1, I'm the only one to have been chosen by President Trump to serve in a leadership capacity in his 2016 campaign. I was the Peru with the morning of the election. I then had the honor to serve as the United States ambassador to Fiji and 4 other South Pacific Island nations. I also stand apart from my opponents in that I have fought, as I mentioned earlier, in very high stakes, highly consequential battles, highly impactful engagements. I'll touch on 3. I led the charge against
Okay, Joe.
fight.
I'm sorry, Joe.
Throats involving Chinese Communist Party type battery plant, when nobody was doing anything. And I'm a Lansing outsider. I'm not in Lansing, nor am I out Lansing. I look forward to fielding your questions. Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you, Joseph. Hi, Michonne.
Hey, how are you?
Good. Would you like to stand up or would you like to sit down?
I'll stand up.
Okay, this is your microphone.
Hello, everybody. I love this town because 2 of my 3 grandchildren were born here at Gerber Hospital, best hospital to labor and delivery in the whole state of Michigan. I am running to be your chair, and I feel like this is sort of a unique time in history, and after 2 decades of being involved in the party and serving in almost every capacity you can within our party, I feel like this is my moment to take that knowledge of 2 decades and put it into leadership. I can tell you that I've been a precinct delegate for 20 years, I've been a district chair, I've sat in leadership roles on all 3 of President Trump's campaigns, 2016, 2020, and 24. Fighting for President Trump for 10 years has pretty much been my full-time passion. But what you might not know about me is I'm also an entrepreneur. I've run small businesses since I was 19 years old. When I was 22, I got a contract with WDIB TV4 in Detroit, and for 12 years I worked as a local commercial producer. I also run a small business with my husband. We own the largest bail bond agency in the state of Michigan. We are very fortunate in that business runs itself. I have an incredible management staff. I never go into my office, and what that's done is give me the opportunity to work full-time in politics, which is really mine and my husband's passion. I have an incredible marketing experience because of my small business. I've used that to make things easier to understand marketing-wise in politics. My husband and I came up with Operation Battle Cry. Any of you guys been to Operation Battle Cry? How about Operation Gridlock, where we shut down Lansing? Everybody, any room I'm in, somebody raises their hand. I've been involved in marketing for campaigns for 20 years. I also have a personal relationship with Donald Trump. I believe that that is going to help serve Michigan Republicans in this cycle more than any other time. If Donald Trump had not won Michigan, then I could see how one of my opponents, or maybe my other, might be better served to lead right now. Because I would be in agreement. I would say, okay, Trump can't win Michigan, so why not put a more establishment, maybe at one time never Trumper candidate in this role? But Trump did win Michigan. Michigan is a red state, and we can keep it a red state. And I think the way to do that is to choose somebody who has been loyal to the president without question throughout the entire 10 years that President Trump has been involved, and that's me. So I really hope that you trust me and that your confidence is in me, and I'm ready to work very hard for you, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you, Michonne. I want to ask the audience a minute if you can hear the candidates off of the television screen. Is it loud enough for those in the back? I can turn it up somewhat. Okay, everybody's good? All right. The first thing I'd like to say, thank you everyone for coming. All the candidates have been introduced. They each have 2 minutes to answer the questions that we ask. I believe it is in me to believe that this is the most crucial election of our lifetime. Michigan is in the toilet. We need a governor to right the ship. We need a senator in the Senate. We need a good Secretary of State. We need a great Attorney General. And we need to flip the Supreme Court. So one of these 3 candidates is going to either help us get there or we're going to lose again. Now, the MIGOP has been good at losing elections for us. So our questions are going to be, what are you going to do to win our elections? So most of them aren't all that, but that's where I'm at. I want to know what's going to happen and how are we going to move that ball to get us down the court so that we are in a winning position instead of always in a losing position. So the first question is going to go to Joseph Sella, and I'm going to ask the same question to each candidate, but I'm going to do them in different orders each time. So the first question is, Joe, if you become chair, What role will faith play in your decision-making? 2 minutes.
That is a faith, as an F-A-I-T-H.
Yes.
Yes, faith.
Thank you for asking. I think possibly the greatest question that I've been asked in the time that I've been in this race. When it came to getting the call, after a call from the White House to serve as ambassador to Fiji, actually I had to scramble the night of the election in 16 to, okay, where could you, when the offer came, where could I go? And I had to submit 3 names of the possibilities where I could go. 3 days later, Fiji was at the top of the list. Where I was praying, discerning, talking to my beautiful, beloved wife, where could I go, lead, and serve, and have an impact? I thought the greatest place would be one where there were Judeo-Christian roots, people of faith, and larger than average family size. We are people of faith. I happen to be. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic, and there was no better calling card to have than that common bond. That was an immediate finding agent, a bridge building exercise, quickly followed with connecting with civil society. Jesus is my Savior. He is the source and summit of my faith. And, I know how to diplomatically handle myself and engage with people, even though they may be of other faiths. But sometimes it's the old adage of preaching the gospel, if necessary, use words. I will, my faith is cornerstone, do all things legally, morally, and ethically, and treat all people with dignity, worth, and respect. Thank you for the great question.
Thank you, Joe. Michonne, if you become chair, what role will faith play in your decision-making?
Faith plays a role in every single decision I make. I am a born-again Christian. I was raised Catholic, but I was radically saved when I was 42 years old. We've been very involved with our church. We raised our kids in the church. We both volunteered there every single week for 15 years. My husband drove the church bus for our youth ministry, and I worked in the nursery. I pretty much use faith as sort of my standard for everything I do. I prayed when I walked in the door to this room tonight. When the morning I wake up, I ask for God to put the right people in front of me and for Him to order my steps. So faith will play a big part. But I can also say that as somebody that worked really hard to build different coalitions, I don't feel like the party is a place to exclude anybody. So while that's my faith, and if I am the chair of the party, that's personally how I will be praying to my Lord and Savior. I also believe that we cannot shut out, and we should not be shutting out any faith from our party. We won this last election by building on coalitions of people that I had never understood before. We reached into the Indian communities, which are very strong family values. I did 4 different events for Donald Trump and his surrogates. Hindu families who love their children, love their homes, very strong family values, do not want porn in their kids' schools any more than the Christian families that I worked with wanted. We also worked with the Muslim community and finally took down walls between the Muslim community and Republicans. Again, these families did not want pornography or wokeism taught to their kids. So there are ways to reach people of other faiths and to find common conservative values that I think will bring us all together, and I'm not going to shut any of those people out.
Thank you, Michonne. Jim, if you become chair, what role will faith play in your decision-making?
It will it will be part of every decision I make as chair. When my wife and I discussed this run, we thought about it, we prayed about it, and we both felt I was called to do this. That was the number one decision that we had to make before I started on this journey. And when I make decisions in terms of everything I do in politics, I look at our founding fathers, the superheroes of the universe, people who put everything on the line for for this country. They had a Judeo-Christian philosophy that I believe is blessed by God. I believe that this country is blessed by God, and that's why we have this incredible nation that we have to work relentlessly to protect. And we've got to all look to God to help us make these decisions to get this country back on track. Also, in terms of reaching out to other communities, I have done more ethnic outreach to ethnic communities than any other legislator in the history of Michigan. You look at my website, if you've got my cards here, take a look at that. I was named the Friend of India as the Republican last year when all 12 Democrats, 2 of them Indian descent, were there, and they got up and left in protest when I came down the steps, and about 50 out of about 600 Indians came up to have me take pictures with their kids because of all the work I did in the community. And halfway through, I didn't realize this, but I was named the Friend of India for the state of Michigan. All of the Democrats got up out of their seats and left in protest because they believe they own that community. I'm the only one that goes to the Nepalese New Year celebration, the Vietnamese New Year celebration, named the co-chair of the Taiwanese caucus, so we got to bring everybody together in this endeavor.
Thank you, Jim, I'm sorry. Next question. We know that Democrats are crossing over and voting in our primary elections and affecting the outcomes of our preferred candidates. Do you believe Michigan should change to a closed primary or a caucus? If so, which one would you go with? Why? How will you initiate this change, and what is your expected timeline? Michonne, that question goes to you first.
Thank you. My husband and I have been fighting for closing primaries. That was literally the sign tattooed on my husband's car door when he very first ran for office back in 2014. I believe that nothing is more important to Republicans than figuring out how to close our primaries. The only reason that we continue to cycle after cycle to have Republicans that do not vote the way their constituents want them to vote is because of open primaries. Democrats cross over and choose the most liberal and the easiest to pick apart people every single cycle. We have conservative Republican seats where the entire body, the entire state house district or the entire Senate district is very conservative leaning, and yet sometimes we have Republicans that vote with Democrats. And people wonder why. This is the reason why. I also know, because it's something that's passionate, that the party chair alone cannot do this. And so I'm not going to make any promises to you that if I am your next Republican Party chair that we can close our primaries. Unfortunately, until we win back the governor's seat and have a governor that wants to close our primaries, win back the full Senate majority and have a Senate majority leader that wants to close our primaries, same with the House Republicans and a state party chair, all rowing in the same direction to vote for this and change this in our Constitution, it's not going to happen. So that's another reason why we need to work very hard this cycle to elect true conservatives so that we can get the ball rolling. I can tell you that as your party chair, I will always be messaging that this is a goal that I want to have happen.
Thank you, Michonne. Next up would be Jim Runstead. That same question.
Thank you. I've always been a huge supporter of closing the primary. I think it's completely outrageous that we have Democrats coming in and voting in our primaries. It's why we have a lot of outcomes that we have that would be stopped if we close the primary. As to your second question, doing in a caucus, I have talked to a lot of people about this, and there is concern that you could have somebody piling literally millions and millions into recruitment of delegates for even worse mischief. The moneyed interests out there are very often going to take advantage of things like that to maybe pour millions and millions into recruitment, millions into getting certain delegates elected, so we could have just as much mischief doing that. So I'm not persuaded that that's a solution to the problem. But I also believe, along with closing the primary, we need to have partisan races for school board candidates. It is outrageous in Oakland County, the number of school board candidates we have that run as a more moderate person, somebody focused on education. They get in and they're far left candidates. The vast majority of our candidates are far left candidates, and they're doing that by lying to the voters. They have the unions work to get them in. If we had true partisan races, I think we could get a lot more of these school board races. Thank you.
Thank you. Joe Sella, same question for you.
Yes, the way forward is through closed primaries. Closed caucuses can be volatile, as Senator Bruns wisely pointed out. So I think you may recall my earlier point about the consequential nature of this upcoming midterm. Vital that we win control of the governor's office, the attorney general's office, secretary of state's office. Look at the woke lunatic agenda forth that from those three office holders. The two-tier system of justice that's been hammered down on us, totally unconscionable. The irregularities in the 2020 election. You look at the 2024 election and the voting that took place by the Chinese National University of Michigan. Many things need to be fixed. This is but one. It's important until you have the state legislature engaged on this. If I have the honor of serving as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, I will use that position as a bully pulpit to hammer home this point until it happens. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, the next question. What do you believe to be the most important role of the MIGOP chair? That question goes to Jim Runstead first. Most important role of the MIGOP chair.
Well, the most important thing is making sure you keep the doors open, because without the doors open, you don't get through what's called the pass-through dollars. Most people are not aware how it works. You have to pay salaries. There may be a big deficit that has to be overcome. So you've got to be able to raise the money to keep the doors open. So when the election gets closer, you will get literally millions. It was $29 million that flowed through the state party. There was literally talk when there was concern whether the doors were going to remain open of routing that money through Illinois, which is a whole host of problems. So there's a lot that the chair has to do. I mean, there's a ton, but if you don't have the party up and running, then you have catastrophe. So that's the first thing. We got to raise the money. We got to unify the party. Also, that's a huge part, and stop the corruption. And I'll talk a little bit about that when that question comes up. Hopefully it does.
Thank you. Same question, this one goes to Joe Sella this time. So Joe, what do you think is the most important role of the MIGOP chair?
The most important role of the next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party is to serve as a leader that has the judgment, temperament, and character to lead the organization to do one thing, and that is to get Republicans elected and Democrats defeated in key races across the state, on the federal level and state level. In order to do this, you need to have best practices within the party, and that I would posit to you two things. One, have the business operations, the front office operations operating like a business on a movement. This is a beautiful movement that President Trump has fashioned, Make America Great Again, and we have a great opportunity to use that as a fulcrum to win up on the ticket in Michigan. I have the honor. He believes my plan, and I have unique confidence in donors in Michigan, up and down Michigan, and out of state in my ability to raise funds, and I will do that. And our plan is rolling out tomorrow that Jessica Barfield and I have, and I think you'll like it. And be proud to.
Thank you, Joe. Michonne, same question to you.
It's hard to put just one thing, so like the people running also for this, I'm going to mention a few. I think first off, incredibly bold, fearless messaging coming directly from the leadership of our party is desperately needed. I feel like it's something that has been sorely lacking. I don't want to apologize for using strong words, for calling out Democrats when I think they are communists, for calling out some of the woke ideas that have come out of the Democrat Party, of the horrible legislation that they have just inflicted on us for the last 2 years. And I feel like we need to stop being tepid, and we need to stop being temperament and quiet about it. I think we need to be very bold, just like our President Trump, which is how he won. His messaging is what resonated across the whole country, really across the whole world. And I think people want to hear more of that. They're about to be very excited. Every single morning we wake up right now, it's Christmas morning. Every single morning we wake up to what new glory Trump is doing with this country. And so we need to celebrate that, but we can't take our foot off the head of the snake. The snake is the Democrat Party. They're not going to just go away because Trump is president. So I think we need fearless leadership that keeps our foot on that, keeps our foot on the gas. Obviously fundraising. I am thrilled to be announcing a finance chair later this week that is somebody who has big, long-time historical financial knowledge with the Michigan Republican Party, has helped raise millions and millions of dollars for Republicans in the past. He's joining my ticket. You're all going to be excited about that, including my co-chair. For co-chair, I decided to do something completely different. I wanted somebody with business leader, somebody that will reach new donors that we haven't had before. And I think now is the perfect time to be bringing in people that are excited about President Trump to be donating to the Michigan Republican Party.
Thank you, Michonne. Okay, next question. One of you will be the next MIGOP chair. In 2026, we will be electing a new governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, and U.S. Senator. What is your fundraising goal for these positions, and will you pledge to give all money raised for them to their campaigns and help them win their races? That goes to Joe Sella first. We may have lost Joe.
No.
Okay, great. Did you hear the question?
But area. Yeah, great question. Thank you. Since 1992, I have managed campaigns. I have fought, led, served, and won in them. I know what it means to develop and execute strategies and tactics, applies the grassroots, forge messaging, and I would do just that as chairman. I have I'm a frontline political combat hardened veteran. I have done international media, I've done national media, I've done state media in these high stakes, highly consequential, highly impactful battles, and still on the battlefield doing some of them. Two quick stories I'll share with you of these examples. 2004, Senator John Thune, now Majority Leader John Thune, raised several $100,000 to beat Tom Daschle as Senate Minority Leader. To this day, John Thune says, I couldn't have done it without you. We exposed Tom Daschle for cavorting with Planned Parenthood. And to this day, he says, I wouldn't be here without you. We exposed President Bush's nominee, Harriet Miers, who was a Supreme Court nominee. We knew she was a Trojan horse. Karl Rove sent an emissary to me saying, how dare you? And I said, you know what? I'd do it all over again, taking out from the establishment, because I'm sure you're happier having Justice Alito than Justice Myers. And he didn't say anything because he knew I was right. The same thing would happen if I'm elected to have the honor of serving as your chairman of the Michigan Republican Party, putting the wood to the Democrats, and offering that stark contrast between we and they. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question goes to Michonne Maddock.
So am I the only one in the room that notices that he did not answer that question at all? And I can tell you this is probably my 19th campaign, and now that I've said this, he's going to come full-blown against me, but he does a lot of talking with really big words and sometimes just does not answer questions at all. So your question was, how much am I anticipating raising? And will I commit that whatever I raise, we give all of that to the candidates that are running? Specific candidates.
yeah.
So I think it is confusing. The party funds are very confusing for a lot of people. I got an opportunity as your co-chair to sit in and saw how it works. I went to a lot of fundraising meetings with Chairman Weiser, which I'm grateful for. He taught me that part of the party. While he did not let me sign any checks, he did not let me have any access to any of the books, and I was not allowed to make a single decision about policy, I was able to help sit in on fundraising meetings. The party chairman for the last 3 cycles has raised somewhere between $2.5 and $3.5 million, each of them, respectively. Depending on the rest of the elections happening, a ton of outside money also flows through the party, which is what Senator Runstead was talking about. In this next cycle, I have no problem saying that I will be able to raise the $2.5 to $5 million. I'm very confident in that. That is the money used for messaging, staffing, keeping the doors open, hopefully doing some mailers. It would be great to do billboards. I would love to have a statewide voter guide. Those are the things that I would plan on spending that money on. That money is never used, at least in my history, over the last 4 or 5 cycles paying attention for our candidates. When I was co-chair, I had a lot of people come up to me very upset. Where is the money for Christina? Where is the money for DePerno? They said that to me. The truth is, and so I'm not going to sugarcoat it, these candidates need to raise this money themselves. The party's job is to keep the doors open, do good messaging, and run great meetings, and have the party be a good structure for outdoor money. It is not the party's job to raise $20 million to give to the U.S. Senate candidate or governor candidate. It's their job to raise money for their campaigns. We are to assist them.
Thank you, Michonne. Same question for you, Jim.
Yes, you do have to raise the money again to keep the doors open. It's what I was focusing on before. If you don't keep the doors open, the whole thing melts down. It's going to take a minimum of 2.5, maybe up to $4 million to keep the doors open. I have a history of being able to do that. When I was in the majority, I was one of the top fundraisers year in and year out with the most conservative record. And I tell you, that's not easy to do. That means I had to raise it in the district because so much of it's quid pro quo. Michonne was right. You don't want to take the money from the candidates. They have to do it themselves. But yet, in order to get the 16,000, she said a couple days ago, she went to 3 of the gubernatorial candidates to get them to donate to get to the to that amount of money. And she was endorsing in the primary as the co-chair. So I'm sure they were terrified, and I'm sure that they were going to make those donations. I would not do that. I'm not going to take the money from the candidates. We're going to work to make sure we get the doors open and then raise the money for specifically candidates like the Supreme Court nominees who had no money. We're outspent like almost $3.4 million the Democrats had for the Supreme Court nominees. Our people had nothing, because there was so much corruption in the state party where one consultant is getting all the money. He's constantly getting, year in and year out, about 50%. I've seen a contract where he's getting 50% of the money. No consultant is getting half of the money out of state party. So stopping the corruption, doing competitive bidding, no longer are we going to have a situation where one guy gets sole sourced all of the money from state party to put in his pocket. We're going to not only do competitive bidding, but we're going to stop the corruption. There was people, I was just looking at the state party books, and all these people, including Michonne, were getting payments from state party. We couldn't tell what they were doing. In my administration, everything was going to get paid. You're going to know what they're doing, what they're doing for that money. There's going to be transparency. So we'll have the money if we stop the corruption, we stop the hush money payments and the friends and family payments, and we put every dollar to winning these races. We have so many ballot races we have to win. We have nonpartisan races we have to win. Most people don't know who to vote for judge or for the appeals court judges. All of this has got to be solved.
Thank you, Jim. The next question will go to Michonne first, and then it will be Jim Runstead and then Joe Sella. So the question goes, there are many Republicans across the state who feel disenfranchised and ostracized by the current MIGOP and state committee. How do you plan to pull Republicans back together and rebuild trust in the MIGOP and reconnect with we the people? Michonne.
First of all, I feel like I need to rebut what Jim just said in the last answer. $28 million from the Trump campaign flowed through the state of Michigan. One of the things that it paid for was a staff of almost 85 people. Those people got paid to help run the Trump campaign and win Michigan. I've been a volunteer for Donald Trump for 10 years, and in the last 2 months of the campaign, I was brought on staff. I was grateful to do it. I helped run a ton of events with surrogates, and I was paid $7,000 in September and October. Jim knows that 2 months out of 10 years. I'm proud of it. We won Michigan for Donald Trump. As far as disenfranchised people in Michigan, I can tell you that as an activist in every single level of the grassroots, I have been part of slates that were set aside and told you are not going to state convention. I know exactly what it feels like. When I was in the 11th district, we had 111 people that ran a slate. We had 98 that ran another slate and went in front of the credentials committee, and our entire 111 were told, sorry, you can't come to convention. It was devastating. I've also known that we don't quit. We could have walked away. I've seen tons of delegates quit and walk away from the party when they're frustrated. The truth is, we're Republicans. We're very bold. We're very opinionated. And my answer is don't quit, stay involved, go out and recruit more delegates that think like you, and come back next cycle and win. Because I've lost many times and I've won many times. And I can tell you it's the people who stay involved that are the ones that help Republicans win.
Thank you, Michonne. Joe, that same question to you. Joseph?
Thank you for the great question. I will first say that there she goes again. My opponent has become expert at dropping fake news and smears, and you have a sense of the what would come of her if she were to be elected chairman. So you need to handle this with great care. She is a bridge burner. I'm a bridge builder, and that is what I would do should I have the honor of serving as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. My company's name is the Pontifex Group. That means bridge builder. It's what I have done, it is who I am, and it's what I've done with great success. I would abide by the adage of President Reagan, my 80% ally is not my 20% enemy, and there are great opportunities. I've transcended the tumult and the chaos and the disaster, the drama that my opponent that I referenced earlier has been a part of. And I don't need to be lectured by her in terms of raising money or spending money. I know how to do it. I would do so efficaciously. I have a winning track record of doing that very, very specific thing across the country and in Michigan, and I would do so again. And I will say that she does not have such a track record. She has a losing track record, and is because she does not have that record, she is subjecting Senator Runstead and I to unfortunate mistruths, half-truths, and misinformation and disinformation, and it's a disgrace, and I'm sorry you're being subjected to it. I will rise and fall on my own merits, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. These next three questions are going to be individual questions. So they will each be specific to one of the candidates. So this first question is for Michonne. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Jim did answer. Oh, go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry. I must have messed up here.
I was going to say something. I thought I'll just let it go. The idea that you just tell delegates that feel like they have been disenfranchised, just hang in there and buck it up, buddy, and just put up with it. No, that's not correct. We have lost about 1,000 delegates. We were just looking at the numbers a few years ago. We had 8,000 delegates. It's dropped down to around 7,000. People are leaving because they feel like their voices are not heard. And so the first and foremost thing we have to do is make sure we're following the rules. And very often they're not. what I hear from delegates all the time is let's follow the law, which is a duly elected delegate must be seated and vote. And that's not always been happening. I've been putting this out in writing. If I am the chairman, we will follow the law. The duly elected delegate will be seated and vote. Second to that is what we've had a lot of times in these conventions are catastrophes, where in the run-up to the convention, there's different people, different groups that feel that things are not being done properly. I would sit down with these various group leaders and say, what do you see as the issues? Well, how can we make everybody here comfortable? You can't always do that, but I've been doing this for decades, getting people in a room, stakeholders, and saying, if you listen to what their concerns are, and you negotiate something that makes everybody comfortable that we're gonna do this right. I don't care who wins or loses. If the process is gonna be fair, if the process is gonna be right, let the chips fall where they may. That's what people wanna hear. They don't wanna hear, just stay involved and buck it up, buddy. No, you've gotta be really listening to what's going on. There's a lot of delegates that are now fleeing. We need to get more people involved. We get to get more delegates, not less delegates. And what I'm describing is a lot of what we're seeing that has to be solved. And so I will work relentlessly to make sure that the delegates are empowered, they are enfranchised, and that their voices are heard so that we don't have this division. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go on to the individual questions. The first one will be for Michonne. You served as co-chair with Ron Weiser in 2020 and 2022 for the MIGOP leadership. When we lost the governorship, the Secretary of State, the Attorney General, and the Supreme Court in 2022, I'm not sure about that one, but okay. People haven't forgotten that our state has suffered. Is there anything that you would do differently than that last administration? Sorry, I read that wrong.
I mean, first of all, we got destroyed in 22 because of the proposals, and everybody knows that. Prop 1, Prop 2, Prop 3, having every little woke girl show up at every college campus and stand in long lines to vote is entirely how we got slaughtered. If my opponents, which they do, want to blame me for 22, that would be like blaming our current co-chair, Melinda Pago, for winning Trump in Michigan. Now, Melinda did a great job and worked really hard, but we can't give her all of the credit. As co-chair, I have very little power. I fought very hard for Donald Trump in 2020, the same as I did in 26, the same as I did in 24. I think the only thing I would do different if I went back is I would probably have demanded a little bit more access from my chairman. But I didn't know what I didn't know, and I've learned from that experience. That's why I'm running to be your chair right now.
Thank you. Joseph, this question is for you. You were an ambassador to Fiji under the first Trump administration. Have you supported Trump from the beginning, and how have your experiences qualified you to be MIGOP chair?
Yes, so I supported President Trump, in all 3 elections, as a donor and as a voter, voting yes to President Trump in all 3 cycles. Now, I will tell you that my support began in June of 16. I had some concerns. I expressed it in a letter. I talked to friends who were leading the campaign before we got on with the heat of the convention and the fall race. They eased my concerns. I was in the process of beginning to raise $2 million with them for President Trump across the Midwest, and then was chosen by him to serve as his Catholic outreach director, and then later to be chosen by him to serve as U.S. ambassador. So I'm glad he does not have the litmus test that Michonne is subjecting me to, and some of her supporters are, because things would be different. I stand in good company. Kellyanne Conway said some things far more sharp than I and some others did. My fellow co-founder of Catholic Vote, Brian Birch, did as well. And certainly Senator Vance said far greater tart things than the 3 of us combined. Guess what happened? Kellyanne Conway went on to the West Wing to serve as a senior counselor to the president, is still a trusted advisor. Brian Birch, my close friend, has been honored by President Trump, having chosen him to serve as U.S. Ambassador to Vatican.
15 seconds.
And Senator Vance is now Vice President Vance. So any perceived sins by Michonne or others, those were absolved by President Trump through his selection of us. And for all of us, I know it was the highest honor in our life to be chosen by him. We have confidence by him in our judgment, character, temperament, and ability. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jim, this question is for you. There are people who are concerned that you currently serve as a Michigan senator and also want to be the next MIGOP chair. Understanding the time constraints, without resigning from your Senate spot, how will you reconcile these two positions?
It's just the question I get asked most, and the time constraint one is the one that I think there's the most misunderstanding about. We meet less than 8 times per month. We start at 10, usually by 11:30 you're out. Now people think, well, then you get on with all of your other Senate duties. In the legislature, it's not 45-55 power sharing. It's 100% to 0. The Democrats control absolutely everything. That's why you saw the Republicans get up in lame duck and walk out as one. Why? They have no power. You don't control one thing. You don't control the committee. You don't control who goes on the committees. You don't control the floor. You don't control the bills. Every single bill I put in immediately goes into a death committee, and that's where it stays. It never is going to come out. So for me, that bit of time that I have to be there putting in, hit the yes and no button, I will go from that to doing what I do the best. The most media of any senator by far. Many months I do more than the whole Senate combined. TV, radio, print. I get invited onto all of the major shows because of my communication skills. My social media is the #1 on the Republican side. I have one of my speeches go to 14 million viewers attacking Benson. So what I would do is everything I'm learning in Lansing, it will go out like no other chairman has ever done. I will know everything they're doing and attacking them relentlessly. I put in 80, 90 hours a week. Everyone who's ever known me back to a kid, that's my work schedule. I will be doing this relentlessly, round the clock, to make sure that it is the most effective state party that it's ever been in the state of Michigan.
Thank you. Okay, next question is for everybody. So this one is, the first part of it will go to Jim Runstead. If you lose, will you affirm the delegates' choice by supporting the duly elected chair to help them best succeed? And if so, what form would that commitment take?
Well, yes, I would affirm that certainly the delegates' choice and congratulate them and help in whatever method that I can. You know, I would have a lot of time on my hands to be engaged and help any way I can.
All right, you all set? Same question for you, Joe Sella.
Yes, guided by President Trump.
Okay.
Does he want to elaborate?
Do you want to elaborate? Okay. Michonne, same question.
Same answer. I believe that all 3 of the candidates that are running are Republicans, conservatives, want to do the best that they can for the party. I don't see any of us backing off. I have worked very hard for Republicans for decades. I will do that whether or not I am state party chair or not. I will still be fighting for delegates, fighting for Republicans, and working for our candidates to win.
Thank you, Michonne. Okay, this next question will start with Joe Sella. So what ties do you have to big donor families, and do you consider these ties possible conflicts of interest? Joe Sella.
Great question. Thank you very much. I have been on the battlefield of Michigan since 1988, and in the Republican arena, I have friends who are donors across the state and out of the state who are low donors, mid donors, and high donors, and I'm honored for their friendship, and all level of donors have confidence in me, my leadership ability, but here is the important thing. I am owned by nobody. I am my own man. A lot of the fake news circulating out there, it is wild, suggesting that fantastical stuff like Governor Engler and Governor Snyder plotted to get me into this. They had nothing to do with it. I just met Governor Snyder 3 weeks ago on the State House floor after I had declared Governor Engler. I'd see him in airports 5 times, I guess, over the last 25 years. The other fake news bit is that Vice President Pence and Governor Engler had to collaborate to get me out of the country to be ambassador because word was circulating that I was going to undermine President Trump's agenda. Anyways, I'm sorry you're being subjected to all of this fake news, but the reality is that I am my own man. They have confidence in me because I am my own man, and I am beholden to nobody who may have given to me in my campaign, or if I'm elected, could give to the Michigan Republican Party. They know that I have the judgment and the character and the integrity and the temperament necessary to raise the funds necessary for the party and to get Republicans elected and defeat Democrats. Thanks for the great question.
Thank you, Joe. Same question, Michonne.
I'm glad you asked this question because we get a ton of the same questions over and over, but this one's a little bit different. No, I am not related to any big donor family of any kind. I was born in Nebraska, raised in Michigan, very middle-class lifestyle. My husband and I live a great life because we have a successful business, but we do not consider ourselves wealthy people. I drove up here in my car, which is a 20-year-old car, even though I love it to death. We managed to pay off our mortgage last year after working for 25 years to be able to do that. And that being said, something else that sets me apart from my opponents, and maybe it's not important to most people, but I just looked it up because I was curious, is I have personally donated in my name over the last 20 years $91,000 to the Republican Party, Republican candidates, district committees, and state committees. I've done that because my husband and I for 20 years have cared about electing Republicans. My opponents are both also big fundraisers. They've both raised a lot of money. Ambassador Stella just told you he raised millions of dollars for Donald Trump. But personally, neither of these men have given more than $3,000 to candidates or state party. In fact, I don't think Joe Sella has written a single check to the Michigan Republican Party. I'm not sure if Senator Runstead is, but I think it's important because I think it shows commitment. I have that commitment, not just to raise money, but I'm a personal donor.
Thank you, Michonne. The same question goes to Jim. Too many J's.
Well, like I said, when the state party said that they are reporting 15,000 for 6 people, I raised that the next day. Months and months and months went by without opponents raising that money. Michonne told on tape 3 different times she raised 18,000. The policy committee met 3 weeks after that and said she had 13,000. And then has shaken down the candidates for governor for that additional money. For me, it's raising money is something you have to sit down with people if you have enough assets to and disposable income to write a big check. That means that you have to have the ability to build the confidence that what you're going to do with that money is imperative. And when I sit down with donors, and I'm starting to meet with some of the bigger donors, they know my reputation. There's no quid pro quo. If they're going to donate money to help us win elections, that's what it's about. But when you sit down with them, they have to have the trust that the money is being properly utilized. It is not currently. We have one consultant who's getting, again, we've seen the contract, half of the money. What donor, how many in the room there would give to a political party where one consultant takes half the money? So the first thing I'm going to do is competitively bid. We're going to get an RFI to find out every Republican vendor that can do a job, whether it's print t-shirts or it's social media or it's sending out postcards, and we're going to competitive bid. That's the way every little school does it, every small business does it. You competitively bid to get the best job for the best price. That's not been happening. All these people who are getting this, these thousands, 7,000 a month are going to be gone. So the donors are going to have the confidence that the dollars that go to the parties are going to be used to win races like that horrible loss we had for the Supreme Court. We had two great candidates. We had two very challenged Democrat Supreme Court counties. They slaughtered us because they had no money on our side.
Thank you very much. At this point, we're at 7:15. I think we wanted to end the meeting now so that you guys could, talk with the candidates. So maybe, I don't know how we, pardon?
Closing statement.
Yeah, okay, why don't we do a closing statement for each one of them? Michonne, would you like to go first or would you like to go last? You're here. You're the one that's here.
How about in the middle?
Okay, that works. Okay. Jim Runstead, would you like to go first? Well, we'll put you first. Do a closing statement for the group and tell us why you deserve to be the chair of the Michigan Republican Party.
The reason I deserve to be the chair is of your other two opponents you're hearing from. I have a record. The record is one of telling people what I'm going to do and doing it. Starting all the way back to the county commission, the first bill I put in was E-Verify to get rid of illegal workers. It was 4 months of battling the executive against me, most of the county commissioners against me. I pounded them into submission. They eventually passed that bill and got rid of thousands of illegal workers. From there, I went to the House. I told people this is what I'm going to do at the doors, and they saw I did it. When I went to the Senate, I said, this is what I'm going to do, and they saw that I did it. And I'm telling everybody here, what I've told you now about what I'm going to do in this party is what you will see I will do. So it's that record. Michonne does have the record of 22, and 22 I won my election for the Senate, but we got wiped out. I don't know, as I talk to people, what did she do? Everything she's saying she'll do, where was she? I didn't see her one time, nor have I talked to one person, maybe somebody there, one person that saw her one time in all of 22. When Weiser was gone, he lived in California. He left a pile of money there, and nothing was done from state parties.
That experience that I think I would make a good party chair. Listen, I didn't bring any handouts. Everybody hands you handouts, and all of our handouts all say the same things. A ton of questions that are asked, we all answer the same way. And the reason that I am under attack from my opponents is because I am the only one that thinks if you're taking time out of your busy lives to be here to make this really important question, you should pay attention to the things that separate us. So I'm willing to take the arrows or accusations for things that I may or may not have done. But I think you should know that I'm running against a man who says that I'm lying, but not a single thing that I have said about Ambassador Sella isn't something that I can show you on paper. It is true that he was only an ambassador for 12 months at the very end of Trump's administration. It is true that he said horrible things about President Trump, but then came to his senses because of Mike Pence. It is also true that in 2020, he further betrayed the president by calling out the insurrectionists and the attack on the Capitol. That was in print. So that is, again, a further betrayal of President Trump. And it is also true, and you might be interested in this, that his Wikipedia page said that he was a leader in the Never Trump movement all the way up into this past election on November 5th, 2024. And only because I have some 18-year-old genius who knows how to look at editing on Wikipedia, do I now have in print that the edits were made to take those words out on the day after this past election. So Joe Sella had something to hide. He was proud of his Never Trump leader being on his Wikipedia page all the way up to November 5th, 2024, on November 6th that was edited. If any of you are all interested, I will share it with you. You can look at it in print. Anyway, I think that I should be your next state party chair because I can do it full time. Jim Runstead works full time. We all know it. I think it's an embarrassment to our legislature. And I feel like I have the time, the energy, and the passion to lead this party.
Thank you, Michonne. Joe Sella, you're up last.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for all of you gathered there. I'm honored for this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to present my case to you humbly. I come to you to make my appeal to serve as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. I'm not presuming anything. I don't deserve anything. I want to earn your trust to serve in this very important capacity. I come forth to you with humility, I come forth with a sterling track record of the judgment, the temperament, and the character, the leadership skills, whether it's fundraising, communications, developing and executing political strategies and tactics from the state representative level to the presidential campaign level, and independent issue campaigns, fighting, leading, serving, and winning. I bring that to you humbly to serve as your next chairman of the Michigan Republican Party. I am proud to say that I was so for President Trump that the Democrats in the U.S. Senate held up my confirmation with a never Trump senator, like former Senator Bob Corker, took stripes on my back and buffets to my face from him, from former Senator Bob Menendez. I endured it and had the honor to serve as United States Ambassador for President Trump because he chose me to do so. It was the greatest job I had in my life, honor representing our country, our principles, and advancing our interests across the Indo-Pacific, including countering the threat from China. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very consequential vote, very important election cycle, and I have the right stuff that is needed for the Michigan Republican Party to be rebuilt and to make the Michigan Republican Party great again in 2026 as we help President Trump make America great again and advance his America First and Michigan First principles. Take care and God bless.
Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank all the candidates for coming tonight and helping us see what we could see in regards to each one of their personalities, their qualifications, and their tenacity. They had some good tenacity tonight. So anyway, thank you candidates for showing up and coming. Teresa, will you start the slides? We have just some little bit of stuff to take care of at the very end here that we want to thank you, Michonne.
Thank you.
Click on it. Yeah, now on behalf of all the Republicans in Newaygo County, we'd like to thank you for stepping up for this role, and we wish you each the best of luck in your campaigns, and that we say from the bottom of our hearts. We want you to know that there are several ways you can contribute to the Newaygo County grassroots. Everything we do is, we need to raise money all the time. And so the way we raise money is through contributions. And again, everybody wants a little bit of your money. So we're not alone. You can contribute. We have an envelope in the back of the room. There's a box back there. It's an envelope that looks like this on the envelope. You have to fill it out. You can contribute to Luann. She's in the back of the room via credit card. If you'd like, we have a Square account. Or you can go on our website. On the main homepage, it's got a little contribute button on the top. And we do use Anadot. We do not use, what's that one? WinRed. So we're good there.
We take checks too.
We take checks too. We'd like you to buy some merchandise. These are some of the things we have on the back table. And I'd like to take a big thank you to Michigan Muckraker and also Patriot Approved Media for recording this forum. I know Michelle will probably put it on her Facebook or her YouTube channel. And that YouTube channel is?
Michigan Muckraker.
Michigan Muckraker. So we're good there. And she was live streaming this event tonight on her YouTube channel, so that was good. And Patriot Approved Media, he's video recording it. He likes to edit the recording so it's not so whatever. Like mistakes like this, you know, when I make those. Our breakfast club is doing really well. Last breakfast, we had at least 8 people at that breakfast club. So this month we are meeting at the Moondance Cafe on 48th Street in Fremont. It's every Thursday for this month. So Moondance Cafe this Thursday at 9 a.m. and that is at Moondance Cafe. We are having a movie matinee. I hope you pick up some of our flyers in the back. That is our monthly upcoming events information sheet. And the Vaxxed movie flyer or information is on that flyer. It is scheduled for this Saturday, right here in this room. It'll be live or videoed on this television here. So it's at 2 o'clock, the doors open at 1:30. We do have free popcorn, and we will be selling candy pop and water, and we are asking for a minimum $5 recommended contribution. And you can watch the trailer to the movie at newaygograssroots.com/movie. Simple. newaygograssroots.com/movie.
We're gonna be showing all three of those, so this is the first movie in the back series, so we'll show this one and then we'll pick a later date for the second one and then eventually the third, so.
And those of you that are scheduled to go, or that are the delegates that got, that are on the slate for the convention, please remember to go, February 21st and 22nd. Obviously, you know you were on the slate, so that's where the convention is. And our next meeting is March 10th. We want to thank you for your attendance this evening. Stay warm, be safe, and we want to God bless all of you. Oh, I'm sorry, Joe.
What time does it start on the 21st? I haven't been able to figure that out.
At night, the Friday night?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's 7. Randy? 7?
7.
Do you guys have,
I didn't get my packet, I'm searched, but
John Llewellyn's 2 seats behind you, you need to get your convention packet. If you haven't received your convention packet, you need to get it.
does anybody have any questions? We do have the chair, or the co-chair for Jim Runstead and the co-chair for Joseph Sella. Bernadette Smith is Jim Runstead's co-chair, and Jessica, is it Barfield or Bearfield?
It's Fairfield.
Bearfield. Jessica Bearfield is Joseph Sella's co-chair. So please, if you guys have questions and you want to talk to them, we can have them come up here, or if you guys want to, if you want to talk to them out here in network.
So people know who they are. There you go.
Yeah, we have a half an hour to clean the space up. We could use some help getting the chairs put back in their spots. And so about 1:45, we'll cut off so we can clean up the tables back there of the merchandise. So feel free to go ahead and ask Bernadette some questions. Ask, Jessica questions. But just do it in your own private. We don't need to have them up here. I don't think.
Deuces.
I mean, it's.
You want to mingle? Okay. You're gonna mingle.
There you have it. There you have it, man.
Thank
It's a
you,
lot of
everyone, for
rhinos.
coming.
Oh,
This was really fun.
there's a rhino. She is a rhino, Don Beatty. Randy Guppy back there. He's sitting down somewhere. He was sitting next to her, so she probably a rhino too. Birds of a feather flock together. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call them out, man. I can't deal with these rhinos. Michonne got straight up out of here. She ain't want to face no heat. She sat down next to me. She ain't even look my direction. She know how I feel about her. But it was hard to listen to her, boy. I'll tell you what. Prescott said he don't know Bernadette. If you got any questions you want me to ask her, I'll give you my rundown. Not today, though. You know what I'm saying? There's rhinos in here. Look. I used to be cool with Rhino before he sold. That's Randy. I used to be cool with him before he sold out to the establishment. He sold out. Where'd Don Beatty go? Don sold out. But there's Pete back there, Paul, Curtis. Man, that's a lot of warriors. Teresa, Paul. Yeah, man. It's a lot of love. A lot of warriors in the building, man. I love to see it. You know, they talk all this stuff about we got to unite. I ain't uniting with no rhino globalists. I'm not doing it. They want to point all the attention to the Democrats like it's all the Democrats. They don't want you to bring up the rhino Republicans that's destroying the party. She lucky she snuck up out of here. Oh, there go my boy Tim Wellen go back there. Oh, 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 oh. I gotta get some pictures. Nice seeing you, Michelle.
Hey, it was very good to see you.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm
I
glad we
hope
got
that
to
we
hang
can,
out.
you know, do something in the future, but you just got a new job, I just got a new job. Life, man.
Oh yeah. It's
But
it's our destiny, man. We don't even have no say so. I already know we're gonna do something together. We already here, baby. I'm glad to get to hang out with you though. You know, and yeah.
and yeah, all three of them.
I know, man. We got an hour drive, so we about to get up out of here too. Okay.
I think I might have to swing by.
All right, drive safe. Yep. Got my son-in-law with me, you know what I'm saying? Demari. Yeah. He proposed to my daughter, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I got to take him in now. You know? Yeah, You don't need no ring. All right, love y'all. Gotta go, man. We gotta get up out of here. Have a good day. Peace.